Okay, so let's jump straight into our second example. Remember, we're going to either choose the left-hand side or we're going to choose the right-hand side. So I kind of like to just have this ready in case I need to work with one or the other. And it's just that reminder that left-hand side and right-hand side, they're not kind of interacting. Okay, so left-hand side I'm going to pick, well, the last one I picked because it was multiple terms, so it feels like there's stuff we can do. The right-hand side also feels like there's stuff we could do. So it feels like we could say, well, sine x and tan x is after all just sine x over cos x. So maybe you just want to go, okay, well, that would be, if we multiply that, well, that's going to be that. This is the bigger fraction line. These double-decker fractions feel a little bit difficult to deal with. So this is 2 over sine squared x over cos x. Well, if we're dividing, that's 2 divided by sine squared x over cos x. And if we're dividing fractions, we could tip and times. So we could say, well, that's 2 times cos x over sine squared x, which is 2 cos x over sine squared x. And now I feel like we've done as much as we can. Now, we may or may not use that. You might have just said, no, you know what? I'm just going to look at the left-hand side, and I'm going to work until it turns into the right-hand side. So let's do that. So the left-hand side, we could get a common denominator. And our common denominator here is, well, we just need to multiply these two denominators together. Okay, which means our first term, here we've got 1, and we still need to multiply it by that denominator. So 1 plus cos x. And then we need to subtract 1 times that denominator. So minus 1 times 1 minus cos x. Okay, so if we multiply the minus into the brackets, then I'm going to be a little bit lazy over here and say, well, that's going to be like that, and that's going to become a plus. Okay, 1 minus 1, that's going to cancel out conveniently, so 1 minus 1. Now, I shouldn't be this lazy because we haven't shown all our working. So let's rewind on that and go, okay, so this was cos x. Let's show all our steps. So we've got a 1. Now this bottom part we could multiply, right? So 1 times that would be 1 minus cos squared x. Oh, well, that looks exciting. I already know that that is sine squared x. And I'm kind of going through these at a decent pace. That's because you're going to have quite a few to practice yourself. Now that looks a little bit too much like sine 2x, so sine squared x. Okay, so that became that. The denominator worked out. The numerator, we had 1 plus cos x minus 1 minus cos x. Well, the 1 minus the 1 we can see is going to become 0. And we've got cos x minus minus cos x is 2 cos x. So we've got 2 cos x. Now, we've already worked on the right-hand side, and we can see that these two things are equal to each other. So we can say we are done. If you had not done this work on the right-hand side, you'd have to keep working with this until it kind of turned into the right-hand side, which you might, basically do what we did here backwards. But I think in this case, well, this worked out quite well because there we got to, that was that, so we're done. Okay, as I said, I know it's done at a reasonable lick, but that's the idea, that you can kind of see what types of things you might use. And my suggestion was to work with the left-hand side because it was multiple terms. So you could kind of just start doing things. Make it one fraction. Things kind of worked out. There was a 1 minus cos squared, became sine squared. Oh, well, here things cancel nicely and you have with 2 cos x. At this stage, you probably get a bit stuck and go, oh, not quite sure what to do. So pause, move to the right-hand side. Okay, so that's that one. See you in the next one.